when we started doing the YouTube cover scene, we loved it. Obviously, we were growing an audience pretty quickly, which was so great. However, being original artists was our first passion. And we were so scared for anyone listening that is in the YouTube world at all. The cover artist world is a vacuum. Like if you are seen as that once in any kind of capacity, it's so hard to climb out of that. With no disrespect to cover artists, some of our dear friends, it's incredible. It's an amazing part of that side.
It's an amazing way to make a living, honestly.
I mean, our friends are making so much more money than we are, but we definitely want, we had to have that discussion of our original music is always going to take precedence. So we want to make sure that's the focus. It was really just a conversation. We were originally going to put them all out under Nico.
Yeah, and we had put out an EP called Songs We Wish We Wrote. And it was it had grown so much because, of course, we had a following on YouTube. Some of those videos were viral. Of course, those are going to stream better than our song we put out with, that no one knows about. And so on our original page, it was Nico. You would go click on us and it would just be cover. And we were like, oh no, people aren't going to know about our originals. And so we just decided we want to earn the money from streaming because we have something like 200 something covers. Why are we just sitting on that? That's master income we could be earning. But also we want to promote our originals, and this was our solution. To just have 2 profiles.
What's going on? Welcome to The New Music Business. I'm your host, Ari Herstand, author of How to Make It in the New Music Business, the book. 3rd edition is out now on all platforms, all formats, all of that. Today, my guest is Nico, the band, the duo Nico, that's stylized Ni/CO. It is a soon-to-be husband and wife duo. They're currently engaged, but they started dating first and then kind of grew into this project. Really fascinating journey. They met in Nashville and they started kind of doing writing sessions. They had a publishing deal. They talk about that. They were getting tons of syncs. So this story could have finished by them talking about their 6-figure sync deals. I mean, they're making literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on their sync placements. So we talk about that a little bit. But they also, around that time, were doing the YouTuber thing and releasing covers on YouTube, which now, if you listen to the Fly By Midnight episode, we talk about that. This is wild for me that people are still doing covers on YouTube, but apparently, people still are. They did them, had massive success doing that, have over 75 million views on YouTube. And then, all the while, started releasing original music as this duo, as the band Nico. And just recently, this past January, they had their song On Purpose.
I love the way you love me on purpose. How something in your eyes say I deserve this. I'm so used to settling for surface, but you love me like I'm somebody that's worth it. There's nothing accidental here, I'm learning that all along my love wasn't a burden. Now it's in the hands of the right person, and you show me.
This past January, their song On Purpose really took off on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all of it. Beautiful song. You should definitely go listen to this song. And we talk all about that journey and how that happened and how it resonated around the world. I mean, some of their biggest markets, they said, are in Africa, believe it or not. So we talk about kind of how their journey has evolved, how it is to work with your partner, your romantic partner, your partner in everything and in life, as a songwriter, as a business partner, but also now, soon to be spouse, and how that goes down. And also they pulled the curtain back on their publishing deal and the label deals that they were offered, and they really go deep into it. And you're going to want to stick around to the very, very end. Don't end this early. I'm telling you, some of the best part of this conversation, at least on my perspective, where they really revealed a lot of the business behind everything is really towards the end. And we kind of uncovered some remarkable truths towards the end of this. I mean, all throughout this. This is a really wonderful interview. I really enjoyed chatting with the two of them. Danny and Colton are their names, and they go by Nico. And it comes from Danny, spelled DANI, and then Colton, Nico, COLTON. Anyway, that's how they got their band name. You can check out Nico everywhere that you find music. Again, that's stylized Ni/CO. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you find music, of course. You know, they're a working artist. You can find them. Find all of us that make the show happen at Ari's Take on all the platforms. Find me at Ari Herstand on Instagram. But right now, if you could actually just pause this, leave us a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, however you listen to this. That really helps if you want these episodes to populate your feed. Also, visit aristake.com and get on the email list. That is where you're going to get the most relevant, up-to-date information on the new music business. All right, let's kick into the show. Nico, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey. So where are you coming to? You're wearing a like a vintage, is that a Celtics t-shirt?
I know,
are you
but
coming from Boston? No, you have no affiliation. You're just a fan.
absolutely. I literally said to myself, I was like, don't wear this stupid shirt. You know someone's going to ask you like, oh, what's your favorite Celtics player? I know nothing. I'm such a musician. It's just for fashion, strictly.
That's great. No, I'm like, man, did I miss that in the biography?
No.
Because I was like, wait, there was a Boston moment in here?
No.
Okay.
I wish.
Great.
No.
It was so much cooler.
Yeah, I don't know anything about basketball either
Perfect.
or the Celtics. And so
Amazing.
we're on the same page. I do know that they won the finals. That's all I know this year.
Okay.
So I'm sure you're going to be getting some questions if you wear that out, or some cheers or high fives. Probably high fives, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll just be like, yeah, bro. Yeah, cool.
So where are you guys based right now?
We're in LA. We're in Valley Village.
What the hell are we doing? We should have done this in person. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Okay, I thought you were in
gosh.
Nashville. No, it's all
No,
right.
we used to live in Nashville. Yeah.
Yes. Used to be
I
in
know, I
Nashville.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in LA. Where'd you say in LA? Virgil Village?
Valley Village. It's right next to
Valley
Sherman
Village.
Oaks. Yeah, right
Yeah.
next to
Yeah, I
Sherman
know
Oaks.
it. Okay, on second thought, that's too far. I'm in Los Feliz, so
Oh, yeah.
this is probably
Absolutely not. No.
that travel distance. You might as well be in Nashville. I'm not getting
Absolutely.
over the Valley. So,
No.
all right. Just kidding.
The most LA shit ever.
I know.
Past 10 minutes, we're done. Yeah.
I went to see a show in Hermosa Beach
Oh,
Saturday
wow.
of a friend's. Traveling all the way down there. I see the beach twice a year. I've lived here for 14 years, and it's without fail like 2 to 3 times a year I touch the ocean, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's great though. You're doing your due diligence. Like you're being an LA person, you're touching water twice. Like I feel like it's good.
Exactly. Okay. Well, we're not here to talk about my ocean touching or LA geography. I'm sure everyone's just so riveted right now.
So excited.
But anyway, so first off, congrats on the recent release. I Don't Want to Know.
Thank you.
I know
Thank
that
you.
it sounds like great song.
Thank
Great
you.
songs that you've been releasing. I feel like, is this a rollout? Are you like mid-album release campaign? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. It's kind of strange. We're not really in like a mid-album kind of thing, but we're trying to do music around where we are in our stage of life, which we just got engaged last year. We have a wedding coming up in...
Congratulations.
Thank
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You thought I was congratulating you on that first. And
At
then
first,
like,
yeah.
oh,
I was
the
like, no,
music.
stop.
I
Yeah,
guess
we're so
that's
used to
good
both.
too.
No, it's so
Yeah.
good. We've been so in wedding mode, so
We
it's
have
so
been.
nice to be like
Yeah.
out of it for a second. It's good.
Yeah. When are you getting married?
September.
Okay.
September.
Coming up.
Yeah. I
Yeah. Coming
know.
Yep,
Yes.
yep,
Yeah. So the music has kind of been, it started a little bit ago. Like we were doing, I wouldn't say we pivoted, but we kind of did. We were doing a little bit different style of pop music. And then Tale as Old as Time, we just started tapping into very lightly this like emotion driven ballad pop style. And it started to resonate deeper than our previous music had, which again, the Tale as Old as Time is like, if you do what's honest to you and what you really love, more people can feel that. It feels authentic.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that we had never really written about our love story. And that sounds so
Which is crazy.
dumb to say, because it's like, why would you not have written about truly what's going on in your life? So yeah, we started to do that, and we got like one of our bigger reactions to our original music, which was so nice because it was legitimately just like a dumb idea I had in a note about him. Gross. And it was just like, it's what resonated. So yeah.
That's the most honest stuff to write about, and that it's funny that that wasn't the first inclination to write about love with the two of you. I mean, I guess it can also be scary, daunting, and risky. The sense that like you don't want to then start writing breakup songs and be like, wait, if there's something under the surface here that I'm not like,
like, wait a minute.
Wait, what's happening here? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So was On Purpose the first song that kind of started it off? Started the whole Let's Write Love song journey? Or
So no, that was the third song.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our first release was in September of last year. It's called Past Life. And it was right after we got engaged and stuff, and we just were like kind of in that headspace.
Yeah.
And then we were just like, we need to like write what's honest to us. And then also, I guess, strategically, like on social media, our accounts were growing a lot from like we were doing wedding themed mashups. And so we were like, well, yeah, let's lean in, like let's write like wedding songs. And then I don't know, it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I want to dig into all of this, and we're definitely going to talk about the On Purpose journey later because that's been very exciting. And I love that song, by the way. That's like one of those songs that's like I wish I'd written kind of a thing. It's like,
oh my gosh,
it's
that's so nice.
It's so simple, but it's so effective, and every word is perfectly placed. It's like how I feel about JP Sachs. It's like every one of his songs pisses me off.
Yeah,
it's so perfect. It's like you can't get more perfect. And I'm like, how did you do that? You used 7 words for 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Bawling my eyes out. How did you do that? You know? So
that's the best compliment.
That's a huge compliment. Yeah, thanks so
much. So anyway, I want to talk all about On Purpose and that journey, but I want to back up a little bit, and I'd love to get your story because like as I'm diving in and I'm like seeing your YouTube channel with tens of millions of views on your covers, which, by the way, up until like a week ago when I had Fly By Midnight on the show, I didn't realize people were still doing covers on YouTube.
Yeah.
And like they were like, oh yeah, we started doing covers on YouTube in 2017. I'm like, YouTube was dead by then. What are you talking about? You started doing covers. But it wasn't. And I was like, and so now I'm seeing that you got like 24 million views on your Black Eyed Peas cover like 4 years ago or something.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, step me back. Tell me the journey of Nico. How did you start? How did you meet?
Yeah.
Take us from when you started to present day.
Yeah, so we started dating first. We met in school. We went to Belmont. And the first week of school, she sang in class, and we both sang. And I was like, "Oh, she kind of sounds like Mariah Carey."
I don't. I literally don't.
I wouldn't have thought Mariah Carey. That wouldn't have been in my top 10. But that's a compliment. She's one of the greatest of all time. So
absolutely.
Hey.
So I DM'd her, and I was like, "Oh, we should sing a duet. Like we should sing "Endless Love." And she was like, "Oh, I don't know you." She said in a very like nice, polite way.
I was like, no, absolutely not. I don't know you.
But she was like, oh, I don't know that song, and like gave all these excuses.
Terrible.
And so like 2 years later, we kind of like knew each other, and we were at a party, and I overheard her talking about how she broke up with her boyfriend, and I was like, oh. And then she was like talking about how she writes like pop and R&B music, and we lived in Nashville at the time, which I was like, oh, you write like R&B leaning stuff? Like
there were like 10 pop songwriters in the town at the time. Like no one,
at least in our circle,
at least our Belmont
and that's small
bubble.
for Nashville for people listening. Like, wow, you had 10 whole songwriters in your city? No. In Nashville, you trip and fall and you hit 10 country songwriters on the street. All 10 of them are helping you get up after you just tripped over yourself. And all of them have platinum records. Okay, continue.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Perfectly put. Wow, incredible.
So I was like, oh, we should write sometime. And she's like, okay, cool. So we got together, right? And we just talked for like 6 hours. And then we started dating after that. And we kept writing music and like singing together, but it was more just like, we were a couple, and like in Nashville, what you do is write songs. So we just would write songs together and would sing together. We'd sing back up for each other's songs. We'd do duets. All our friends were like, oh, like hoop and holler. And to us, it was just like a cutesy thing.
It was cute because we were dating. We were just like, oh yeah, it's fun. Like whatever. Yeah.
So then after a couple years of us dating, I had done an internship with one guy, and she had done an internship with a woman, and both of them worked at 2 separate companies. And we had been like doing shows, and we like had sent them our music and stuff like that.
You know, the whole like in Nashville, for people that don't know, the vibe, if you're going to school there, trying to up and come in that area, is you also want to get in on the business side and learn and like cut your teeth, at least for our circle of friends. So we really worked our asses off to try to get on the business side, learn the business that we were about to dive into.
Yeah. Which in Nashville was only publishing.
It was publishing.
We really just learned publishing, and that's it.
But it was helpful. It was really helpful.
And so then, like we were always performing together and like singing them songs, and they're like, oh, so you guys like a duo together? And we were like a duo. No, we were like, no. And they were like, oh, why not? And we were like, oh, I don't know. So then we took like an entire summer and just like tried it out. Like we played a show without even having a name and like did it. And then we were like, okay, I guess we'll be a duo. And we started. And it was good because we had been dating for 2 or 3 years by then. So
yeah, we were really nervous that the working together would affect the relationship, as anyone would. So we had like long talks about that of, hey, like if this starts to go south, like we're jumping ship, like we can't do this. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And luckily, knock on wood, like here we are, and we haven't killed each other. We're getting married. It
actually worked out so well. I think just like for our personalities, like if we were both more like diva-y, for lack of better words, I think that wouldn't have worked out. But we're both like, I don't know, we're both like a lost space for each other. So
yeah, for sure,
it really worked
Who's
out.
Who's the diva in this relationship? Let's put it out on the table here.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that anyone's like a straight up diva.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, for sure. For sure, Colton a little bit.
You need that yin and yang. You need it
exactly.
making space for each other and knowing. I mean, that was what I was going to ask about, because like, to date is one thing. To have to work as a couple is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
To work as a writing partnership is completely different and a totally other thing. But then on top of that, to work as like business partners, I mean, that's a lot. And those are 3 completely different skill sets to work with another energy and another person, and like a different level of trust and a different kind of trust.
Yeah.
So like as you're talking about, like we started dating, then we started writing, and you kind of just like brushed past that, which it could have stopped right there, because a lot of people just don't have the writing chemistry. And it's like, if you have the romantic chemistry, the friendship chemistry, the love chemistry, but you don't have the writing chemistry, like that could have kind of put a wrench there.
Totally. Yes, that's true.
And you did. And then also the business chemistry. I mean, you're kind of just like stars are aligning here.
Oh, yeah, that's really sweet. That's what we hoped.
Yeah.
And hope, I guess.
Yeah, we realize like the older we get, the more we talk to people, the more we're like, oh, this is like rare.
Yeah, like the alarming looks we get, like especially into the marriage world, like older married couples are like, wait, you do what every day? Like you don't leave the house?
No,
ever?
we literally sit and look at each other every day.
Yeah.
And I'm not
we
sick
talk
of it
about
yet.
our deepest, darkest secrets through song.
Yes.
And we're the most vulnerable that you can possibly be with another human being all day, every day with our partner.
Yeah.
They're like, get out now.
Get out. Yes.
What are you doing? Right. Where are your brakes? Yeah.
Truly. They're like, blink twice. And we're in also one of the most tumultuous industries. Also, like highest highs, lowest lows, so. And we experience those together. Like we don't come home from a job where I have a coworker that's pissing me off and I can vent to him. Like his coworkers are my coworkers, and it's just wild. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's been the thing with our relationship, is like us figuring out, okay, how do we separate the business from relationship? Okay, we're both really sad about we didn't get this opportunity. Like this didn't work out like we thought it would. Like how do we separate? And I think we've done a good job.
So it's a working machine. We're still figuring it out for sure.
That's definitely like the hardest part. Is like separating it, but.
So you start performing together and you're deciding like, all right, we know we can write together. We love performing together. We love singing together. Our voices work. Let's try this for real. What does that mean when you're kind of like, all right, let's give this a go. Let's try to do the duo thing. How did that start?
So we started like as a band, and it was weird because at that same time we signed a publishing deal where the husband that I interned for and the wife she interned for started their own company. And we were like the first. Yeah. So we were the first people to sign to their company. And it was really good at first because I guess this is a thing, like we wrote separately a lot because they specialize in film and TV. So we just like would be, thrown into sessions and like writing all the time for sync music. And that was really great also because like they were like landing stuff all the time, and it was our first deal, and we were like, oh shit, like we making all this money. Like it was
they made so much money.
That's amazing. I want to talk about that. Was this a sync deal that you did, or was this actual like full on publishing deal?
This was a full publishing.
So talk to me what that means. Like what was the publishing deal that you signed, and how did it work?
Yeah. So it was. Yeah. I know. I guess in Nashville, your greatest aspiration is to get a publishing deal. And that seems like you think the work's done there, which we learned very quickly. It's not.
That's just the start. Yeah. It's really,
So we signed with this company. They were super boutique. They were administered by Cobalt at the time, which was cool. We like got to go in the Cobalt offices in Nashville and like meet people and stuff. And like we started like getting in sessions, but basically only for film and TV.
Yeah.
Like no pop, no, especially like what we did. That was kind of like all on us, but like they, the deal was it's a publishing deal. So like everything we wrote, they had a bit
So
of.
tell me, so for people that are listening and be as candid as you comfortable being, but like
Sure.
we are on the New Music Business podcast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would love to hear about the business aspect of what the
Yeah.
publishing deal was.
Yeah.
Was it like an 18-18-18 deal like is so common in Nashville? You're nodding your head yes.
Sorry.
It was,
Sorry,
No,
no,
no.
I'm just like, yes, we'll tell you this is, yeah.
please,
we should,
like an
yes.
18-18-18 deal, which for people that don't know, that's a common Nashville publishing deal. It's like you're going to write 18 songs over 18 months for $18,000, I think, as an advance or something like. Did I
Yes.
get that right?
I
Is
think
that
that's
wrong?
right.
That seems similar. Yeah, that seems right.
It's-
So we did to be frank, the deal wasn't great, but it was our first
Okay.
deal. Like we didn't
Sure.
get lawyers or do anything. The tale as old as time is like, didn't follow the advice that you're supposed to. But so we had no advance, and our deal was a co-pub, which was good. So like when we did get placements and stuff, we earned on our master and on the publishing, and it was it was a term deal, a minimum delivery. Is that what it is? MDR, minimum delivery.
Yeah, how many songs did you have to turn in?
12
songs.
holy.
Okay.
Yeah. So it honestly wasn't hard. Like we hit
No.
that
Sure.
like by halfway through the year. Especially like with 50%ers, like we
For
wrote stuff
sure.
just together.
And it was like
Yeah.
a 50-50 split. Is that kind of is that how it works?
Yeah, on
Or is it
publishing, yeah.
70-30?
Publishing was
Okay.
a 50-50 split.
Yeah. So yeah, that aspect wasn't bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was good.
So you had that, and that was 12 songs. Was there a time frame, like 12 songs within a year, or just
Yeah,
whenever
within
you
a
turned
year.
into
The
12?
term, each
Got
term
it.
was a year, and I think we did 4 terms.
Yes.
So we're in it for 4
okay.
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But that's great. But you said, was this when you're getting a bunch of syncs, or did the syncs come before this pub deal?
The syncs were
Or
through
was-
this company.
Through this
Yeah.
company.
Well, that's
It was like-
incredible. I mean, it all
yeah.
worked out.
Yeah, that's like
Exactly.
what they did, which was great for us because like they taught us how to write sync at the same time. It's like they would just send us briefs and be like, "You need to build your catalog. Try and write to this brief." And like, I don't think we ever got anything from actually writing
From the
to
brief,
briefs,
yeah.
but it's like things that we wrote a couple months later. They'd be like, "Oh, this other show wants to use your song." We were like, "What?" And it was like, I don't know, so exciting. We could like tell our parents like, "We're doing it. Our voice is on TV." Like, it was like,
What were
It was
some of the
exciting.
syncs that you got?
oh,
my gosh.
so many.
One of our bigger ones was Jess Colton's vocal, but it was an ABC promo, and it ran for
NBC
like
promo.
NBC. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. It ran for like
Over
an
a year.
obscene amount
Yeah.
of
Wow.
time. And it
Yeah.
was,
Cool.
they upped the payment every time it renewed, and it just
Awesome.
kept
It
going.
just kept going. And we were like, at a certain point, we were like, we didn't believe it because, I'd never seen like that much money before. And like
Mhm.
the sync was like multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars at the end of it. And, we were just like,
Incredible.
what in the butt? Like,
And we're
Yeah.
like truly
Yeah.
20-year-olds living in Nashville paying, $300 for rent.
Truly
We're like,
$300
oh my
for
God,
rent.
We're
So-
rich. Like,
so yeah, like we were like,
Right.
oh, this is it. Like,
we've made
we
it.
thought
This
was
is
great.
perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, we had other stuff. Like she had a bunch of stuff where she did like kind of like the rap thing. So you had like a Spotify ad.
Yeah.
You had, what was
What's
it,
the
Jessica
rap
Alp?
thing?
Just sorry. Yeah, that's such a
Sorry, I
it was called brat rap for a while because it's not. I would never disgrace incredible rappers and call myself a rapper, but I just sing really quickly, like
You just
into a
rap
hip hop.
songs off of Charlie XCX record?
Yeah,
Rap?
precisely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rap,
Yeah.
rap. Got it.
No,
got it,
yeah.
okay.
No, it's basically like the songs you hear in like freaking like Selling Sunset. Like all the girls are like,
Yeah.
I'm a bad bitch and I'm gonna do it. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it was basically that.
That was one of my
That's
songs.
a
That
rap
was
rap.
it.
Cool. I'm learning something new every day. All right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she kind of like you did a bunch of that stuff and it just like your stuff landed. She actually had like one song called Let's Get Weird that was used in like every TV show ever. And it got to the point where we stopped being able to tell our parents because it was always used in like
Explicit
Like-
scenes.
sex scenes or like
okay,
strippers and like and it just was like, I don't know.
We couldn't tell grandma about those anymore. We had to stop. We'd be like, oh, got another TV show. Don't know where it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
were
We have no
these-
idea.
So were these released under the Nico project?
So this is where it got kind of fuzzy
Right.
because
Yes.
at
Yeah.
this time, we were being told, and I think there was a lot of truth to this, but a lot of supervisors apparently really wanted an artist. They wanted to sync music to help
Ah,
cultivate, a whole artist
Yeah.
profile and an artist career.
Right.
it didn't line up at all with what we wanted to do for our artist project, because most of the time we were also splitting and had these alter egos, hence the Brat Rap. And he did a lot of like inspirational songs, and it just didn't line up with Nico. So the brand of us was starting to get very muddy. And we were like, well, it's making us a shit ton of money. Like, we can't stop doing it, but how do we funnel it back? So some of them, not we were forced to release, but our publishers at the time were like, you guys, you have to put them out. We'll make up a name for you. We'll do photos. We'll make a whole,
we did like the whole like fake bands thing. And then we ended up like eventually coming back to like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Like, let's just put them all in a Nico, because it doesn't help us. Like, if you go to, what's the website? TuneFind,
yeah.
And like look up some of our placements, it's under like these random ass names. So that doesn't help us as a band. No one can find us. So yeah, some of them were released under Nico, like very, like Her Song Let's Get Weird, because it was used so much to be released under Nico. But most of them were not. They were like under different names and stuff.
So that's a very common thing with sync artists, where yes, they'll make up a band name, and it seems like, you know, second nature to you. But for people listening that just are completely unfamiliar with how this works, is with a lot of these sync companies or publishing companies that prioritize sync, when they're working with, I don't want to say real artists, but like when you're creating songs for a brief, for a specific, you know, spot that they're looking for, and it doesn't necessarily fit with the artist brand. Yes, you'll make up a fake band name and you'll just, you know, release it under that, so it doesn't muddy up what your artist's brand is.
Exactly.
Which it makes perfect sense. And I'm sure you guys thought about that a lot, is like, does this fit with the Nico brand? Is this the kind of music we do? And I also can imagine it was probably challenging to then know what your own identity was and what you wanted to be. So take me through that process.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Yep.
We were just like, okay, so what are we though? Is basically what happened for like for a while. And I don't even know, like we had some of our like original stuff get placed in TV shows too, and that was cool, but it was all over the place. And then what we wanted to say, like, and do musically, I feel like A, we didn't focus enough on it together, and B, natural at the time, at least we didn't know people who could like help us cultivate it, especially producers. Like, we'd walk in a room, they'd see a black dude and like put on trap beats. And I'm like, no, I'm singing, sir. Like, like, this is not.
No, it happens so many times.
It just was like, I don't know. It just wasn't it. And so, I don't know. We decided at that time, I think, so our first release was in 2018, right?
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah. Maybe 2017. And then she always watched YouTube. Like, she's like a YouTube watcher. Like, she watches like the like influence, like
everything. I just am a YouTube watcher.
Yes, exactly. And so she was like, we need to build our audience. Because like, what the fuck are we doing basically? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, we should do YouTube videos. So we started. And then in 2019, we set a pledge to ourselves to do a video a week. And we were lucky enough that one of our best friends was also signed to the publishing company that we were with. So they like blocked all of our calendars off for Fridays, never booked us. And every Friday we would get together and like
do a
cover, which we still get together every Friday now, but it's not always covers.
Yes.
So we just started like building an audience because we didn't really know like what else to do, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And your friend that worked at the publishing company, were they filming it? Were they making the video for you, or they were just telling you what the
he was signed to the publishing
company
as a producer.
Okay. He was playing keys for you, said?
He's in producing the covers for us.
He produced all the covers.
Got it.
And
I because, you know, feel free to share or not, but what was that relationship with that producer with these covers? Because was it tell me how that relationship in the business went down with that.
Yeah,
it's changed actually,
it's
like
changed
over time.
So much. Yeah. So when we first started, like, we didn't know anything about like how to monetize the covers, and frankly, we didn't know until like years later that we'd missed so much money and just like had no idea because nobody knew and no one told us that like you can make money on YouTube. And so honestly, like, he just is like our best friend. Like, he produced all our original stuff too. Like, and he just believed in us. And so he just was like, I'll just do it and we'll just grow it and we'll figure it out from there. And then now, because we like earn a significant amount from our covers, we pay him.
Yes.
Like he gets a percentage.
Percentage of every cover
revenue. Yeah.
A percentage. Great. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's, I mean, you know, that we should all be so lucky to have the friend
Yes.
that's just like, let's just build it together and we'll figure it out later. And then they're still cool when the money starts coming in and you figured it out and you're still working together.
Yes. Yeah. He's his best man in his wedding. So like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that worked out really, really well. I've heard various scenarios where people, you know, like traditionally when there's no money exchanged up front, they're usually splitting the master, you know, usually it's a 50-50 thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And then oftentimes for like when it's just like a traditional producer deal, it would be something like you pay a flat rate up front, some percentage on the back end. And usually, but it's different in like this realm, the cover realm, the YouTube realm, because it's like, it's not, well, I mean, it doesn't have to be different, but I've just known that it's not as formalized as like what doing a record is with like in the pop or hip hop world, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we actually started releasing the covers too. Like we have a separate artist profile called Nico's Covers. And those, like the way that's set up is more traditional, where he's just like, he's getting a percent of a back of, you know, their royalty streams and stuff. But for the like the actual YouTube stuff, like it is all over the place.
It's wild. Yeah. Like that is legitimately the Wild West. It's so crazy.
Oh yeah. And I wanted to ask you about like, and I thought that was really smart that you have multiple Spotify profiles, one just Nico Covers, and then your actual Nico branded artist profile. I noticed that both artist names were on most of the covers or something.
Yeah.
So well, tell me about that process of why did you create these two profiles?
Yes. First of all, thank you for saying that you appreciate that, because it was a long discussion of going back and forth of like, we're just going to dive in and hope it's right. When we started doing the YouTube cover scene, we loved it. Obviously, we were growing an audience pretty quickly, which was so great. However, being original artists was our first passion. And we were so scared for anyone listening that is in the YouTube world at all. The cover artist world is a vacuum. Like if you are seen as that once in any kind of capacity, it's so hard to climb out of that. With no disrespect to cover artists, some of our dear friends, it's incredible. It's an amazing part of that side.
It's an amazing way to make a living, honestly.
I mean, our friends are making so much more money than we are, but we definitely want, like we had to have that discussion of like, our original music is always going to take precedence. So we want to make sure that's the focus. It was really just a conversation. We were originally going to put them all out under Nico.
Yeah, and we had put out like an EP called Songs We Wish We Wrote. And it was like, it had grown so much because, of course, like we had a following on YouTube. Some of those videos were viral. Of course, those are going to stream better than like our song we put out with, you know, like that no one knows about. And so on our original page, it was Nico, you would go click on us and it would just be cover. And we were like, oh no, like people aren't going to know about our originals. And so we just decided like we want to earn the money from like streaming, because we have like something like 200 something covers. Like why are we just like sitting on that? Like that's master income we could be earning. But like also we want to promote our originals, and this was our solution. To just have two profiles.
I think it's great. I think it's super smart. It's the way, you know, you're doing it, thinking about how the industry is right now and how, you know, the primary streaming platform functions and like, which is Spotify, and just like how people are consuming it. Like the top songs, you said you don't want to be all the covers, and how are people discovering you, and how does the algorithm work? Because that is a big thing. It's like if the algorithm thinks like you are a acoustic cover artist, then they're only going to be feeding you to the people that like that kind of music. And so by separating that, you can just train the algorithm differently, and really it gives you more of that flexibility and how you release it and how to brand it. It must be pretty validating that there are more listeners to your original artist profile now than there is to the cover profile.
I tell you, it was a fear.
It was a fear.
We were like, what if they hate our originals and they just like our covers?
No, they seem to love it.
Oh yes, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So tell me about the shift, because I mean, having a publishing deal so early on, you started as songwriters, not as cover artists necessarily.
Yeah.
So that is actually fascinating. Most people go the other way. They start as cover
Exactly.
artists and then they're like, oh, let's figure out how to write songs. But you already knew how to write songs and you'd been writing them. So talk about the transition from like songwriter with publishing deal to YouTube cover artist to original performing artist with original music.
Yes. So I feel like this is maybe a universal thing felt. In our first publishing deal, it was a lot of trial and error because they were a newer company. We were very much guinea pigs. Us knowing that, we went into the deal very much knowing that. Mistakes were made, lessons were learned. That's totally fine. I think in our publisher's mind, we were going to be kind of their artists that took off really quickly. I think they wanted the overnight virality. They wanted that, like, they saw the vision and they didn't understand why anyone else didn't see it, which is amazing and so flattering to us. But I think when we put out our first song and it didn't have 3 kabillion streams overnight, the words like a failed release were said around us a lot. And so yes.
And it was also, I forgot to mention, there was an artist development deal as well.
Yes, we also signed that.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was, there was just like a lot. Yeah.
Yes. So as our little fragile songwriter artist hearts were navigating, putting out music for the first time, our champions, at the time started to also, you could see the doubt start creeping in. And as any artist, again, or songwriter, anyone in this industry knows, that is such a poison. Like as soon as you see that on someone in your team, it's like all you can think about. Every session we went into, every time we went to record anything, it was just wreaking havoc on us. So
can I just take a
please. Please.
Let me just rant for a second.
Absolutely.
Anyone in the industry listening to this, don't ever use the phrase failed release with an artist in your presence. That is so insulting. And if you release an original song, if you release a song, it is a successful release. Full stop.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
It is so hard to actually get a song out into the world. I mean, it's hard enough to write the song. And then it's hard to record that song. And it's even harder to release the song. So like anyone in the industry that like is only thinking about the numbers and what it takes, and they're like, it is a successful release if that song is put out in the world, period. Anything it does after that is just for, business to figure out and what it's going to do, it's going to do. But like, all right, rant over.
Yes.
Continue.
God, put that shit on a t-shirt. Yes. Thank you for that. It's needed. So yes, YouTube became the safe place. It was just somewhere where, well, wait, these aren't our words we're singing. They're already hits.
And it had nothing to do with them because it was a publishing deal. So it was like, we didn't write the song. So we kind of like,
it's just our voices. And like the songs were already proven. So the pressure wasn't on us to write good songs. It was just to perform them well, which, as kids, that's what we know first is we love to sing. So we were like, well, let's just do this. It was an outlet. And then unfortunate timing, but fortunate for us. That's so awful to say, but 2019, 2020, the world shuts down. Everyone is at home watching, listening, doing nothing but on their computers, on their phones. Again, we were able to cultivate that audience very quickly because if someone requested a song in the comments, we'd put it up the next day, because all we were doing was sitting at home,
the house chilling,
trying to make music in any way we can. So we got really turned off to original music for a while.
Yeah, it just became very like toxic because, we had all our success in sync, but then when we went to like write our original music, it wasn't translating, obviously, because it takes time to grow things.
Absolutely.
And so, I guess something we didn't mention is, so in 2019, halfway through the year, we moved to LA.
Yes.
So we were like, oh, this is so exciting. We're going to like go to LA and try and, like meet better writers and like get in rooms and like, and do the thing. And then, 6 months later, the world shut down.
Yeah.
So it just was a lot. Yeah. It definitely like took a toll on us, but I'm grateful that we kept just singing and performing.
Absolutely.
And, doing the YouTube thing. And then after the deal ended, we were on a TV show called The American Song Contest, which was so fun.
It was so much fun.
Hilarious. So
I'm
basically,
not familiar with this show. What's the show about?
So it's, I think there's only been one season so far. I don't think it's canceled, but it hasn't been like picked back up. It was, what year was that? 2022?
Yes.
Yeah. So NBC tried to do Eurovision. Yes. And like the guy who's like runs Eurovision like came and like was there, like we met him and he was very much a part of the show and stuff. And yeah, so each artist represented a state. So we represented the state of Alabama. But yeah, so we did the TV show, which was hilarious. But I don't know, that kind of like jumped off like us just like diving into original music. We were out of our publishing deal.
Sorry to interrupt you. The song was around an original song.
Yes.
So the show was around, yes. So it was like our original song was submitted and then we would perform it.
Which song was it?
Yes.
It was called The Difference.
It's called The Difference, yes.
Yes. And it is,
cool.
It's still released, but under Atlantic Records because Atlantic was partnering with the show.
Right.
They were like,
Yeah. So from there we just started releasing songs that like we had written. Most of them we had written like while under our publishing deal. We were just like, we're just gonna like get these songs out into the world and like see what they do. And it taught us a lot. Like we stayed on a pretty like rigid release schedule of like every 6 weeks or something like that. And we like made videos, which we all like filmed and edited ourselves. Danny edits literally everything. So she's like, we would like take a video camera to the video camera.
Oh my God.
We would take our camera to the beach and then like video ourselves. And then she would like use the iPad and do the lyrics. And like, I don't know, we just like kind of like grinded that out. And just,
Danny, you're the editor?
Yes.
Danny does.
Cool.
All things visual aesthetic.
That is extremely helpful to have that in-house so you're not relying on others for editing. Yeah, cool.
Truly just money saving. We just were like, we're poor at a certain point. I don't want to pay $3,000 for a music video. Let's see what we can do ourselves.
Yeah.
So,
and so we just did that and like released the original stuff. And we were like, okay, we like have our groove. And then it was truly the next year that we started doing more like love ballad stuff. And here we are. Yeah.
That's awesome. No, thank you. It's a great journey. And like just, getting into that workflow of getting together every Friday, we're going to do a video and you get into that workflow and it becomes like, all right, Friday work day, we're doing this.
Exactly.
And then you have that routine already. And, we've all heard that Spotify, YouTube, everything prioritizes frequency and regularly releasing music. And that's really challenging for traditional artists that, want to dump out their entire being and essence in, over the span of a few months for an album, and then they're depleted and drained for a few years.
Yeah.
And that's like that's a workflow that makes sense to a lot of traditional artists that doesn't really jive as well with how Spotify wants us to create or release music. And so the fact that you already kind of had that workflow, you're comfortable with that workflow, that just works really well with how the algorithm functions. That probably you saw, was helpful. At least.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So well put. That's so true.
So tell me, okay, so let's get into kind of let's get into the On Purpose just like journey there, because this song completely blew up this past January, I guess over the last few years. So talk to me about writing it, releasing it, get into the social media of it all, organic, paid, all of that. I guess we could call it the marketing of it all. Because it's had moments on TikTok, it's had moments on Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. So yeah, just set me through the journey of this song.
For sure. Okay, so the song started as we were actually recording a different song.
That's true. That's so right.
I remember this day so perfectly because we were just having a day, as artists do, and we were like, do we suck? Should we quit tomorrow and just like stop doing this?
Yeah, we couldn't get the production right on another song.
Could not get this song right. It wasn't feeling like it was emotional. It wasn't affecting us. So we were like, why would we put this out if it's not moving us? Whatever. And I told Kevin, our best friend and our producer, I was like, can you just play something? Like, can we just like scratch this completely? Let's just like play some chords on the piano. And I was like, I had this idea written down in my notes on purpose. And it was, again, an idea that I had about Colton. I just was like, to be loved with intention. I had never felt that before. Like to love someone so perfectly curated to what you need, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, I just want to like riff, which we never do that. And I know artists that we idolize. They're like, I think Lady Gaga is someone that she just gets on and like will just sing a whole song down and just like
Sia.
Or Sia, like incredible.
That,
Yes.
Sia does not do two takes, the same two takes ever.
Like,
which is crazy.
It's insane. It's so insane. But so I was like, let me just like get out of my head. Let me just try it. And I actually ended up singing not all the words, but truly the chorus of On Purpose.
Cool.
And it like, we just knew, like I sang it and I was like, wait, that came out way too easily. We just picked at it. We brought in one of our favorite co-writers. His name is Matt Hall. He's like really, really helped us curate this new sound.
Yeah.
And he's just like, again, for songwriters, you'll know he is like a work wife to us. Like he is the perfect third.
Why you gotta be white?
I don't know. He just wifey energy. Yeah, sorry, Matt. In the room, he just is so pivotal to artists to pull out what we want to say, but also he takes up the perfect amount of space and just like gives us space to say what we want, but also pushes every line, every melody, just incredible.
And his tastes align with both of ours.
Yes.
Which is hard to do.
So important.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, we picked apart that song, the chorus a few times. We kept kind of going back to, I actually have the original voice memo of that day. And it's almost exactly what it is now, like released, which is kind of cool. I feel like that never happens for us, at least. Like we'll pick apart a song for 6 months and it sounds completely different, you know? So yeah, we literally recorded part of it that day. I think we both felt something was special about it, but we also didn't know if it was just like one of the more honest songs we had written. And we were like, well, you know, again, every artist knows this feeling of like, exactly like you said, it's so hard to put your heart on something tangible like that. Literally barf out your most vulnerable thoughts, throw it into the world and just like lay naked and hope someone likes it. It's the most vulnerable feeling in the world. But we did it. We had really no marketing plan. Marketing just being like, we're going to post about it on TikTok and be like, hope you listen to our song.
Yeah.
And we started teasing it a little bit before. And it had a moment pretty quickly, but again, we just know in this day and age, a moment can come as fast as it can go.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, that's nice. Like, it's so nice that people love this.
What does a moment mean when it had it early on? Did that mean like one of your videos got a few 100,000 views or what?
I can't even remember.
So the very first one, which is like the car video, I remember it got to 1 million in like 2 days, which is like fast for us. Like, we were like, okay, it's having a moment. And, you know, we were texting Matt and our producer, Kevin, and we're like, holy shit, like this is so crazy. But again, we're both like, we've just been in this industry for too long, I think, because we were so like, it's probably going to stop tomorrow.
And we've had so many like viral moments on specifically like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube that like, I remember the first time we went viral on YouTube, like I was like, shit.
We freaked out. Yeah.
And it just like, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's hard to like, especially before a song's out, like know what it's going to do.
Yes.
Regardless of how
Was
viral.
so the song wasn't out yet when were So what? Well, let's start there.
Yes.
Why did you do that? Why were you promoting a song that wasn't out? Because all these people are probably like, I want to go find the song. It's not out.
Yeah.
Was that a missed opportunity?
Yes and no. We've actually done the setup where distributors that we've worked with, now we are working with a distributor, Symphonic. I don't know if we've said that yet. They're awesome. They have told us multiple times, you know, for the pitching process to DSPs, they want, 6 weeks?
A month, yeah. A month at least.
At least
they
a month.
Like 6.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for our side of things, if we have to get it into our distributor and pitch a month before, the song has to be done at least 6 weeks before. So we're sitting on this song. We, pitch it to our distributor to pitch to DSPs. We try to have this rollout of at least, 10 to 12 videos that we can kind of sprinkle and be like, coming in 3 weeks, coming in a week, you want to build that momentum, but there's also this super, super like no man's land of if you do it too early, you piss people off. If you do it too late, you lose the moment really quickly and then people, whatever. So we don't know the right formula. With this one, we actually did it 1 week before.
And that's because we honestly just forgot. We were like, oh shit, it's coming out. Like we pitched it and like, okay, let's start putting up the videos. And we put up the video and
it happened to be the perfect amount of time because for me to be able to respond to comments, just for us on that, I'm not saying that's the way to do it. Please don't take any advice. But for me to be able to respond to comments and say, like, if someone's like, oh my God, like I need it right now. And for me to not have to write back, okay, 3 weeks, like July 12th, like save it. Right. I just was like, actually, it's out in 48 hours. They were like, oh my God, awesome. Like, pre-saving it now.
Yeah.
Got it. It felt so tangible for them to be like, oh, 2 days, not 2 months. That's awesome.
And because that video kept growing, we kept getting responses even when the song was out. So we could then be like, oh my gosh, just saw this video. I'm crying. Like, oh, it's out.
We're like, it's out
you know,
now.
we could like
Yes.
go and respond, which is really nice.
And it probably gave Symphonic some ammunition to go directly to the DSPs and be like, oh, hey, by the way, the song's having a viral moment right now.
Yeah.
I mean, did you get any editorial placements, playlist editorial, like opening week or anything like that?
You know, it's surprising. Not opening week. No, we had like some editorial support from like Tidal and like things like that. And like Fresh Finds and stuff with songs that like didn't have any sort of reaction. But with this one, it was like almost maybe 2 weeks before any editorial support really picked up. We got Apple playlist stuff, which was actually, we got introduced to an editor at Apple by our co-writer. And so we just like emailed her and she was gracious enough to like actually put it on. And then same thing with Spotify. It got picked up too. But like they were, we know that Symphonic was like going in and pitching and stuff.
Absolutely.
They were telling us like, you know, oh, we're doing this and we're going and pitching. So yeah, it came later, but we definitely like, not that we say we expected it sooner, but we were like, okay, like it's a viral moment. Like what's going to happen? And then it was like, oh, okay. And then it was like a couple weeks later, like, oh, okay, this is cool. And then it was like, so it went viral on Instagram first and then on TikTok.
Yes.
Which was really interesting. And
interesting.
Yeah, it was weird.
On TikTok, a lot of people were using the sound in their videos, which helped a lot. And it ended up being used a lot in like Africa. So we got like the number 2 global Africa, or, you know, in what countries? Number 2, like Nigeria. And then number 7 in South Africa, which was cool.
So random, so cool that there's like fans across the world that we, you know, are reaching. It's super cool.
And it was like trending on Shazam there, which was cool.
We couldn't figure out why, like targeted there or why, but we were like, we'll take it. It's just so, the industry is just so strange. Like, how did it reach Africa and like have I don't know, it was just so strange. But anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. No, that's great. Now, what other marketing did you do around the song? Because the reason that we're talking right now is because Sam from Innovo hit me up and was like, yo, you got to talk to these guys, you know, and kind of gave me the quick little pitch. And I know that Innovo they're known for doing kind of like social media marketing, specifically like influencer campaigns on TikTok. So talk to me about like, this was starting, so this took off organically, right? Or did it take off? Okay.
It was all organic,
When did you decide to like leverage it or invest in this song a little bit with some marketing funds, and how did you do that?
Yeah, so the person who does pop at Symphonic was like, yo, you guys, like, this is like doing really good. Like let's keep the momentum. We're like, literally how? Like, what do we do? Like an influencer campaign? And he's like, yeah, let me introduce you to, I can't remember what company it was, one of the like main ones. And basically that company set back like how much they thought we should spend. And it was like, they were like, for your trajectory, like if you really want to like have a big impact, we suggest, basically it came out to be like 30 grand.
10K per platform.
And we were like, oh
my
no.
gosh.
We were like, no, y'all got us confused with somebody
else.
else.
We're like, I'm so sorry.
Like,
thank you so much.
No, we can't do that. And so then we were just like, kind of like, well, shit, like, how are we supposed to make our song like go? Like, this is an opportunity. It's the first time our original songs like really had this big of an impact. How do we keep it going? What do we do? So we started hitting up our friends, and we've known Sam for like since years. Nico was a band, and he had just moved to LA cool. a year ago. And so we hit him up and we were like, yo, what? Actually, I think we hit him up to ask, like, is this a ridiculous amount to pay?
Yes.
And he was basically like, I mean, I see why they said that. And like, yeah, that would definitely like do some damage. Like that would help a lot. But why don't you, would you want to try my company? Like I'm the homie, like I can make sure like we can try and get as many as possible for the amount of money that you can spend.
Yes.
And we're like, okay, cool. And so we ended up doing that with him. And then and we got like a bunch of like couples to use a video and stuff. And it really helped. Like a lot of the sound kept growing.
And just to clarify what you did with him, it was an influencer campaign where they were to use a snippet of the song in one of their own videos.
Yeah, their own videos. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And we had
did you tell them what part of the song, or did you like, here's the song, use whatever part you want?
We didn't tell them.
Or I think it was just the chorus. It was a
Mostly
part
the
because
chorus.
it was a part that was already uploaded to TikTok,
Yes.
and people had started using it. Like she'd posted a video to promote the song, being like, "My exes who didn't love me on purpose," and then versus like our relationship with me, and it kind of like people started to like other women started being like putting up their picture of their exes, but like with their faces crossed out and stuff like that.
Oh, that was the trend. All right.
Yeah,
It was like
Trend.
a very
Cool.
small trend. It was kind of funny, kind of
Hilarious.
kind of messy, kind of petty, which is cool.
Yeah.
And so we told some people to do that, but we were just like do whatever you want. And there was like a lot of couples who were using the song organically, just doing like montages of like their relationship. And so people just kind of like, we told them to do whatever you want, and they kind of followed the formats that were already being used.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm curious about this this TikTok video from Mrs. Kessler is the name of the TikTok account. I don't know if you're familiar with this one, but they got over 1 million views, and it is about a couple that is saying goodbye at the airport, and they use actually a bit of the song, more than just the chorus. It's it's almost like a whole little music video of them saying goodbye. And it got over 1 million views. And I was curious if this was part of the influencer campaign. I mean, it looked very organic and natural, but and they're not even that big of an account. I think they have 36,000 followers or something.
Dang.
I didn't dig too deeply. So that just happened, I guess, right?
I don't think
that one. I don't think we approved because we manually like approved all the influencers. And I don't remember
anything like that.
One.
Yeah, I could be
wrong.
It
was very sweet. So tell me about how like you go about approving these things, or what that process is like for someone who's never worked in an influencer campaign. Sure. How does it work? Do they send you a batch of influencers with how much each of them cost, or do they say, we're going to spend $5,000 on this and we're just going to do our best to find, like, tell me how this all works.
It's exactly like that. So like we're going to spend, we're going to spend $5,000. We're going to try to get like as many influencers as we can. And then they would send us like the influencers that they found, which was great because like their staff, they like went through every single person. They made sure the people were relevant to us, which is also really important. And like not just like some rando that wasn't going to be like pertinent to like love and stuff like that. So it was always creators who were like in a relationship, and even if they didn't have a couple account, like they had someone, or if it was just centered around like, we had a lot of like Christian people use the song too and be like, oh, the song's about like God, or like,
something that just made sense as a viewer to watch.
Sure.
They sent us a Google sheet, and we basically like every couple days there'd be like a new draft, and we'd watch the draft. We'd make any edits, like if they didn't put the lyrics up and we wanted the lyrics written, if that was possible, we'd say that. And we got 2 rounds of edits with each influencer. And they obviously, Sam and Anovo handled like different tiers of followings would cost more. So exactly like you said, we paid the upfront fee, and it was up to their discretion to be like, we can get either 10 creators with 20 to 30,000 followers, or 5 creators with 500,000 to 1 million, something like that. So that was really interesting to watch and see how much it helped. And like we would, because obviously I creeped in all the videos that we did, and there were a lot of people that just commented organically like, oh my God, so cute, like such great makeup. What's the song? And we're like, oh my God, it does work. It's just like by association, if you do hear something in the background of a lifestyle video, a makeup video, like sometimes it reaches the right person.
Were they, now just to get a little technical, were they all using the official sound in the video? So when you tapped the bottom right-hand corner, it would show the song. They were all cataloged. I guess both words were, either word works, but like all on that one official sound page, right? Of all the video creations. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I guess, let's fast forward. Do you feel like the campaign was worth it?
I do. I do wish that we had like more money. Like if we had been signed to a label or something like that, and like we're able to put more money behind it, I think that it would have like been a better situation. Like we could have done way more, and I think it would have reached way more. And I don't think it's too late for that song, because it's not like, it doesn't feel like it's a moment in time. It's a love song. So
for sure.
Like, it's not too late for anything like that. But yeah, I definitely think that it helped continue the momentum longer than it may have done. But like, because other than that, all we were doing was just posting videos, and like
it was just us. Yeah.
Did you notice a spike or a pickup in growth when you started the campaign than from before? And when did you start it? Based like after the song was released, how long until you started the campaign? Do you remember?
I feel like it may have been like over a month after the song was
Okay.
released.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say necessarily we noticed like a pickup in it. I feel like it just extended the amount of time that the song was like
staying on an upward,
on an upward trend.
Interesting. Okay. And were these just TikTok influencers, or were they also Instagram or YouTube?
We only did TikTok.
Only did TikTok. Yeah, only TikTok.
Yeah.
That's so fascinating because, influencer campaigns with music are not a new thing. I mean, this kind of started in 2020 very actively. And, I've heard it has kind of died down a bit, or I haven't really heard it is talked about as much. And I think people don't really know if it's effective anymore, but it sounds like it can be. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but it seems like we're not having the virality that we had a few years ago with songs, but there are more songs that are reaching a niche in kind of having their own mini viral moments. And so you find your specific communities now, whereas like 3-4 years ago, you had the song that went viral this month, and it had hundreds of millions of views or billions of views. And then it was crazy. It's just like Old Town Road plus, whatever. All these other ones.
God,
Doja Cat, Megan Thee Stallion. It's like those were the songs. And then you had some indie artists pop off here and there too, and just became massive. Olivia Rodrigo, whatever. But now over the last couple of years, what I've been seeing is that like we're not having artists go from 0 to 1 billion, but we're having them go from maybe 0 to 1 million or something like that in their sub communities. Is that what you're noticing?
That's
too?
that's what it felt like to us. Cause it wasn't like a life changing. I mean, I guess it did change our lives in the fact that like we signed management from it. Like we were able to like get more opportunities. We gained a lot of fans, but it wasn't like, oh shit, we're on the radio.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think you're exactly right. A couple of years ago, that would have happened for sure.
Oh, every major label would have been in your DMs if this happened 2-3 years ago. But it also would have been 10x'd from probably where it is now.
Exactly.
I think.
Exactly. Yeah, that was actually an interesting, I feel like, none of the majors, but we did get all the
in between. I don't know what you call those.
And I don't want to call them like social media labels, but the ones that will just sign up a viral moment.
Yes, so many of those.
It was like we were dating. It was literally like we were on a dating app.
It was exhausting.
That was wild.
Wow. So you were getting hit up by these. So they were indie labels or what?
Yeah.
I don't know what these social media labels. I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
Basically every label now that's like not a major label, but have viral songs, like she said, like they all distribute through the majors. So they all distribute through like Virgin or like whatever.
Okay.
And then they're like, oh, we'll give you like X amount of dollars and for this many years and like all this stuff. And we ended up going through Indify too. They reached out to us because we were on the platform already. And so they were like, oh, you should like put up your song here too. And so that added even more labels to the conversation. So we just like talked to 1 million people and it was exhausting.
Indify, that's the platform where people can invest in the song, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so is that a long-term thing? So if you put the song out, I mean, do you have multiple people that are like, quote unquote, owners of this or like investors in the song right now that you're sharing in the royalties because they kind of bought into it?
I think I don't know if Indify's like platform itself changed, but it's basically like a marketplace for like labels or companies that participate in masters to get involved in. So it's like,
oh, interesting.
It was just us talking to labels. Like it was your standard like social media label deal. Like, oh, you went viral, so here's
maybe we coined that term. They're not actually called social.
Yeah, we made that up. That's fully our lingo.
So what were some of these deals that they were offering you?
It was all over the place. Some were like 5 years and 10K advance plus 10K marketing. Some were 15 years, 25K advance, 25K marketing minimum. Some of them were based on how the song performs. It's like,
what was the split on the back end then?
Most of the splits on the back end were like anywhere from 70-30 to 50-50.
70 in your favor?
70 in our favor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No one went higher than.
Yeah, that's actually true. Some of the things that shocked us were like the length. Like, what was the longest one we got?
2 consecutive 15-year terms.
Yes, which was a little wild to us, but also like to each their own. The craziest part about all these conversations was when we would dig deeper and ask what they meant by marketing, because we're curious. We want to know like where they're going to put their dollars.
Right.
And with us having such a hand in our social media, knowing that kind of is marketing, we just want to know. Most of them, and so much respect to everyone we talked to, they were so nice, but a lot of them would use fancy terms to tell us influencer marketing, which was kind of crazy to see that's where the industry is now of, they're going to own this song for X amount of years, whatever, and they're going to hire influencers just like we did. So it was interesting to see like, but okay, wait, where's the incentive? What are you going to do to push this song forward and make it 10 times what it could be, So it was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But it was, these were all just essentially licensing deals where they weren't really owning the song. They just had it for X number of years, 15 years, 7 years, whatever.
Right.
And you passed on all of them?
No, we took one. We ended up taking one. Basically, we worked with the company who we hoped would like push in the market that we were already having success in. So the company that we ended up partnering with had multiple records that were like #1 songs in South Africa and like Nigeria, like in Africa. And so we were like, okay, if you guys like have already have traction here, what can you do for this song? And yeah, I mean, obviously the song is still with them. So nothing against them, but they haven't pushed the song any harder than we have.
Okay,
but,
gotcha.
It's still young. Time's still in our hands.
But that is the thing. It's just like, if there's one thing that we have learned in this new social media marketing driven era is that a song is never dead.
Yeah.
And the marketing period is never over if you don't want it to be.
Yeah.
And it could even start up again. Like as I was talking to Fly By Midnight, they said a song took off 2 years after it was released. They just never pushed it before. And they're like, you know what, let's make a few videos around this song. We love this song. 2 years later, and then it took off.
Dang.
It just like that happens all the time. I just had the founder, the head of Snafu Records on, and they were talking the same thing. It's just like, they were saying that catalog music and how they classify catalog music, it's songs that are older than 18 months, actually are earning 70% of all the revenue out there. It's not frontline. So it is, and so, the songs are never over. Marketing doesn't have to be over. You can decide to slow it down or push it up. I mean, but that's the other thing is just like, how much do you want to be, promoting this song? Or do you want to move on to the new ones?
Exactly.
Emotionally, how long do you want to stay on one? Right.
And I think for us, like with our YouTube, like having done, like earned so much from our covers and stuff, we've learned that is true. Like, I feel like the things that earn us the most from our covers are our older videos. And like, they'll pick up randomly. And like, frankly, we don't even have to promote them. Like, something will happen. Like our song, Where's the Love, is a great example of a song that's like, the topic of the song is like, anytime that there's like a major world event, that song picks up. We don't have to do anything about it. And like,
you mean the Black Eyed Peas cover?
Yeah, the Black Eyed Peas cover. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it wasn't like that song came out and like it was a viral thing.
Not at all.
Like, it was years later that we look back and we're like, oh, it has like 13 million views. And it's like, oh, there's 20 million views. Like, it kind of just like, it catches a mind of its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I want to, thank you for sharing all of that, and thank you for being so transparent about all of it. I find it fascinating how you've diversified so much of your business, and we haven't even touched on some of the other parts of your business that you do. I mean, we touched on sync licensing, we touched on YouTube, we touched on obviously DSPs. Tell me some of the other prongs of your business. Do you tour? Are you doing any like brand deals? Do you do? I saw on your website that somebody can pay $300 and you will record a cover song for them for their wedding or something like that, which I thought was super smart. I did that for my Kickstarter years back, but it wasn't a cover song. I'll write an original song. You just give me all the information. I limited it to 5, and those sold out instantly. I'm like, I charged way too little for that. I was
for
like
sure,
$250.
Oh, geez,
I didn't know what I was doing. And I wrote these like custom songs. So I'm like, all right.
I'm done.
I learned lesson learned.
Yeah.
But, so tell me about like other prongs to your business, and if you know, like, what is the pie chart if we're going to break up like where all the revenue comes
Yes.
from? And what is the
Ooh.
percentage of where all of this comes from with the business that you're doing?
Yeah. So I don't know the
Answer.
exact percentages, but I will say YouTube is probably like 50% of our income.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cool.
And then I would say brand deals is probably like a good 10 to 20%.
I was going to say 10. Yeah,
10 to 20%. I mean,
And
it
is
really
that brand deals like on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok?
all of it. Yeah.
them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Sometimes we'll get like a brand deal for a YouTube video. Sometimes we'll get a brand deal for our TikTok. Sometimes it'll be for
Cool.
Instagram. And I think because we like also do like couple based content, it's made it like so that we can do stuff outside of music.
Yes.
Like we can partner with like the couch we're sitting on was like a brand deal, like gives,
Yeah.
Cool.
stuff like that.
Yes.
And then, yeah, we do sell it's because, about selling the originals and stuff. So many people when we started doing,
The covers. Yeah.
covers. So many people when we started doing mashups online, we're like, oh, what if this was like the perfect wedding mashup? Like people loved it. And they would DM us and be like, can you do one for my wedding? Except can you do this song, this song, this song? And so many people like messaged us and we're like, we can't get to all of these.
Well, at first we did it for free. We were like, yeah, sure. Like we just want to connect with our fans. And exactly what
Yeah.
you felt. We were like, wait a minute. This is taking
Yeah,
up so much of our
it took
time.
so much time, yeah. And so we were like, okay,
Yeah.
let's come up with the system where we can just like sell it. And so like, yeah, now we do sell like custom mashups for your wedding, custom songs. If someone wants like a slowed down version of an upbeat song, if they want a male vocal instead, if they want a female vocal instead, if they want a duet
Cool.
version instead.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've started doing that in the last year. We don't even promote that, to be honest. We've never once even have we posted about it?
We keep saying we want to, but then I think there's like part of us that's a little like nervous, just because like our time, we're just, we're
busy.
we're
yeah.
busy, but it would bring in money. So it's kind of dumb that I don't know. Yeah, we haven't quite figured out we need to make money, but also our time is very taken up with
Mhm.
things that we think are making us money. And
Yeah.
truly bringing on Sam to our team recently has truly changed our life.
Yeah,
Like
it really
management
has.
has, anyway, that's a whole other
Yeah.
conversation. But yes,
Cool.
keep going.
Yeah. And then I would say like streaming revenue is probably 20%. And then I don't even know.
You're at 80 now. Oh, live. Yeah, less touring. We do a lot of corporate events and weddings.
Yeah.
But I would say
Oh,
that's,
okay. Cool.
yeah, that's probably like a solid chunk actually, just because the fees
So
will be
20%, yeah.
higher.
For the weddings, I'm assuming it's kind of like the walk down the aisle
Yeah.
song, or are you
Yeah.
doing like full on like reception?
We've done receptions.
Oh,
Yes, that's definitely a heftier burden.
Yeah,
Obviously,
we prefer not to now. Like now, if people reach out to us for weddings and stuff, we're like, we can do sing you
Cocktail
down the aisle,
hour.
we can do your first dance, and we can do like a cocktail hour or a dinner set.
first, yeah.
so it's
yeah,
it's
makes
acoustic,
sense.
like it's like chill background music. You pick the songs you want. But yeah,
yeah.
Cool. No, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And that it's so fascinating. And when it comes to streaming, give me that pie chart. Like which DSPs are the ones paying? I'm curious. Do you have much action with AudioMac, which is big in Africa now that you have like Nigeria, South Africa?
oh my
like,
gosh,
is that,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the pie chart of DSPs for you in terms of the revenue they bring in?
Frankly, I've never looked. I've never looked at like
okay.
these.
Okay, I thought he was gonna
Well,
have
log
an
into your
answer.
No.
Symphonic account
Yes.
and get back to me on that because
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah, that's actually. But we've gotten a lot of playlisting on AudioMac.
Yeah,
that's so
that's true,
funny.
yeah.
I didn't know they were big in Africa.
I
I had
didn't
no
either.
idea.
They're big in Africa.
Oh my
yeah, that is like
gosh.
the go-to. It's funny how some of these DSPs are like locally focused in many countries. Like
Mhm.
Deezer,
Yeah.
for instance, is big in France.
France,
That is
yeah.
like France. This is like streaming.
Oh my
It's the biggest one there.
gosh.
AudioMac in Africa, and there's I forget like JioSaavn in India, and there's a few different ones or whatever.
Dang.
Obviously, Spotify and Apple Music are
Mhm.
almost everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They take a big market share, but there are localized ones, and yeah, just
Yeah.
might be interesting,
Huh.
and fascinating to look into.
Yeah,
but,
we have
yeah.
we
That's so
get
smart.
a good amount of revenue from China because we had our cover of Bleeding Love. We have a cover of Bleeding Love
Yeah.
by Leona Lewis that went
Amazing.
like super viral in China, and we had no idea. And then we had all these Chinese labels hit us up. Long story short,
Like so short. We have to
so
keep this
short because I know we've
so
been
much.
talking forever. We had a scammer who we signed the song to a fake label potentially.
No.
They gave us an advance, they paid us, and then we have since found out that our song is like a top 500 song and like has made like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we
But we haven't recouped.
Yeah, and then
Oh no.
yeah, and we found out because
So
they
China's catching up with where America was in
Correct.
the 70s and 80s. Got it.
yeah, it's crazy. But we found out
So good.
we found out because in our YouTube, in our content ID, we noticed like, hey, like why are our payments like going down? And it happened. It was like over the course of 9 months, and Bleeding Love is one of our bigger earners for like our. And I was like noticing, I was like, wow, we're like going down by like a lot,
dropping drastically,
drastically, like in half. And we're like, what's happening? And then I like dug in there and I was like, wait a minute. I started looking at videos that were using our songs. And I was like, who in the heck is Hest? And it was like this random ass fake artist who like pretended to be us and stole a lot of our, then they were taking our revenue also like across the rest of the world on YouTube. Then we dug in and we ended up getting in contact with someone at Believe. And then we found out it was this label based in Hong Kong and like all this stuff.
A whole big giant mess, basically, but also we can't back collect. So that those, you know, that
the money,
it's just gone, unfortunately.
Really disheartening.
Yeah.
Well, do you know who these people are? I mean, could you go after them?
Yes, but it's in China. Like it's just
it's such a mess. We're working with someone now to try and like get it resolved. But
yes,
yeah, it's too bad it's in China. I mean, yeah, that's did you there's this story of it came out like a couple years ago in Billboard. I actually had the writer Kristen Robinson on the show talk about. She like investigated this. There were these Latin music operatives out of, I think they were out of definitely the States. It was like Arizona or New Mexico or something like that. Created essentially all these like fake companies and added themselves onto all these YouTube back-end monetization through AdRev. So AdRev would go into the back-end claim. They would basically upload a catalog of all of the songs that they had ownership on.
Yes.
AdRev wouldn't verify or check this. They just took their word for it. They would claim all of these videos. And some of them were like big Latin artists. I mean, some of them were like major Latin artists. And they ended up collecting over $25 million
which is just crazy
of YouTube revenue. And eventually it caught up with them. They're in jail now. It wasn't just they got the money back. They literally like
done.
The government stepped in. When it becomes that much money, the government actually stepped in, arrested them, seized all their assets, and threw them in jail.
Holy shit.
But it's a lot harder. I don't think we have extradition
in China.
With China. I know we don't with China. I don't think Hong Kong, now that China's really kind of taken over.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if you might have much hope there. But lesson learned, I guess.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned. Yeah, it's just frustrating too because it's like how can they just come in and steal our money and like no one knows? And as independent artists, like we can't. Like I don't even know how those people did that. Like we can't access the income from YouTube on our own. Like we have to be with like an MCN or a distributor. So we work with.
Who are you using? Yeah, who are you using for MCN? Collecting your YouTube.
Yeah, we use Studio 71. They're awesome.
They're incredible.
And they helped us, help increase our collections and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, it was crazy because before like we had no idea, so we weren't collecting any of the UGC, and our lawyers were like, "Hey, you really should like." Try and like work with someone there. And then we're like, okay, sure, whatever. And we like signed a deal for MCN. And like 2 months later, our payments like were like times 20. It was like a life-changing like income. And we were just like, oh God, like how we've missed this money for years. Like we had no idea.
We were so, as amazing as it was, we were just so kicking ourselves.
Yeah.
Just like, because just in this industry, we feel like it's one hoop after the other of collecting
to like get your money. Like it's ridiculous. Yeah.
It's so wild.
It's wild. It's so nuts. And yeah, but you know what? You can't dwell on the things
dwelling.
that you missed. It's all a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
If it brings you any solace, this has happened to everyone, including major labels, in the sense that like, famously when Bruno Mars released the Flower song, what's that one called?
When I Was Your Man?
When I Was Your Man.
When I Was Your Man,
yes.
Thank you. This was like when the majors didn't understand YouTube, so they wouldn't put the videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
So somebody made a fan lyric video to When I Was Your Man, and it got 125 million views.
That's hilarious.
Unmonetized.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
So like think about that of like how much money that would have made had the labels like done that first or the art, but this was the time. So this is a just over the last 15 years since YouTube has been around, this has happened to almost every single artist. You're not alone. And label. It's happened to almost every single label. Everyone is catching up and figuring it out. It's just like, the music industry in the internet era is the Wild West.
Yeah.
And we're like all just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you can't dwell on that, but you can learn and move forward. And that's all you can do.
You're so right. You're right.
Cheers. Cheers. Danny Colton, this has been so wonderful chatting with you. I know we could keep going, but we are way over time. And I want to be respectful of your time. No, I'm the one. I'm holding the court here. I'm conducting this. It's all on me. No, I love it. This has been a wonderful conversation. I have one final question that I ask everyone who comes on the show, and that is, what does it mean to you to make it in the new music business?
Yes.
Yeah, I think for us, it's just like, sorry, we clearly we
talked about it
ahead. Yeah,
good. Give me your answer.
It's like
you prepared.
We did.
It's for us. It's about being able to live the life that you want to live, like from music. So it's like it's one thing to be like, I've been like living off music for forever, but for us, like making this like, being able to do all the things we want to do.
Yes, and I had a B part because I need to be the star of the show too. Just had to add. But I just also think having something we create outlive us is making it to me. Yeah. So that's just
Love
that. Thank you,
that. Nico. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Today's episode was edited by Ari Davids with music by Grassroots District and produced by all the great people at Ari's Take.